This is a continued discussion from the previous episode of Nose to Tail, a podcast where we explore the world of aviation lifecycle solutions, insights, and more. Presented by Jet Midwest.
So speaking of forward-looking, you're talking about maybe you guys have already made the decision to consolidate your facilities?
Yeah.
And what's the timeline for that to happen?
So we already purchased the building last year. You know, it's complicated doing build-outs, especially when you're not in the construction business. So, you know, we're dealing with architects and general contractors and the city, and, you know, all this stuff is a new challenge for us. So it's basically like our biggest project of the year is, finishing the offices, adding bathrooms, and then providing the division between both sides of the company and access controls, because you can't have, you know, one side's regulated by the FAA and the other one's, it's unregulated. I mean, it is regulated, but not regulated. It's ASA does the accreditation for the suppliers. You know, you need a division. You can't have guys from one side going to the other and vice versa. You know, it's basically planning for the future.
That's great. So how does that springboard into you guys' plan for the next 5 years?
So that's an excellent question. That question has been brought up, a lot recently. You know, before we're just scrambling like headless chickens, just getting the work done. You know, right now we're stepping back a little bit and, okay, now we gotta really strategize and, start thinking about how we're gonna execute. The plan is there, but we have to figure out how to execute it. So with the new building, we want to get into, we did a couple teardowns around the COVID time, 2020. We weren't even looking for it. A good deal came across and we did 3 A320 teardowns, and they were really good to us. And it was a fun project, being able to, see the plane and doing the inspections. It was just a cool experience. So we kind of want to get into doing more teardowns in the future, adding different part numbers to the mix. And as far as the shop side, adding more equipment. Right now we're in a pretty small facility, so that's the reason why we only do hydraulics and a little bit of electromechanical stuff. But, start exploring other product lines, like fuel and, IDGs, if it makes sense. So we want to, continue expanding the capabilities for the shop.
That's great. Well, certainly I would encourage you guys to work as partners and have a great 3-year vision or 5-year vision. And I know my partners are my brother and sister, so we're very close-knit and we're always talking. Even though we have a 5-year vision, that 1-year plan is kind of all we need in front of us, because that 5-year vision changes a little bit by the end of that first year. And say, well, we got a lot done. A lot of things we didn't get done. So I would encourage you guys to continue to drive that vision, but don't be afraid that it can modify all the times. Aviation, right? We have to be nimble enough to be ready for what's next. Maybe we don't even know what's next. And,
exactly.
Sort of jumping into teardowns, like, didn't know. Yeah. Jumped into it. It was a great time. It is a fun business. I can definitely tell you that after tearing down 700 airplanes. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to stick with that narrow body product line? Do you guys think you'll expand that product line?
I think for now, probably stick to the narrow bodies, maybe a 737 we're thinking, because we did 3 A320s. So, maybe 737 NG is kind of what we have in mind.
Nice.
And, we'll see where it goes from there.
Very good. Well, I'd like to ask all of my podcast guests what their favorite aircraft is and kind of why. I get lots of great variety of answers, so I'll be curious what you say.
Yeah, actually, A320 is my favorite plane, and I feel like I saw a couple of podcasts, and it's a very popular favorite plane for a lot. First of all, as a mechanic, that was kind of like the first complex units I worked on. So Boeing units are very basic, they're bulletproof, but they're very basic. Airbus, it's kind of like a Ford and a BMW. There's a lot more little, electronics and gadgets and gizmos that make them a lot more interesting and more challenging.
Well, unfortunately, the Boeing guys that are watching this, please be forgiving of that commentary. Fords are wonderful cars too.
Yeah, drive a Ford.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, no slices on anybody. Certainly there's definitely some engineering challenges or design challenges that are unique to each of those aircraft types. I remember when we got into the Fokker F-100 business and we started tearing down those aircraft, is a very predictable, really well-engineered airplane, and very predictable nature of even the rotables on the aircraft. So that made it very good to support and very bad to support. There was less catastrophic things going on. It was very routine all the time, but it was predictable for us, and we were able to kind of capitalize on it. But even the repair vendors and things, it was just, they're more robustly engineered parts than we had typically been working with our MD-80 fleets. And or maybe our 737 Classic fleets. Like, it's just a completely different level of engineering. So so that's great.
Sometimes simplicity is best.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first time we cut into the fuselage, and I saw how the stringers were designed, and maybe a little bit uneasy. I should take some photographs of one and keep them on my phone to show people, because I was like, wow, that's amazing that this is designed this way. And I just almost no material is very bizarre.
Yeah.
Well, listen, is there anything else you wanted to cover? I mean, I know we went pretty quick, but is there some other stuff maybe you wanted to talk about? Maybe, I know what, maybe talk about. What path do you see young people coming out of school? You came directly out of high school into technical school.
Yeah.
What do you think the path is for people to really join aviation? Because now you've got two different companies. You've got both a parts company and you've got this MRO. So what path would you suggest for those people who are wanting to get into the business, either the parts or the MRO business, for them to approach as they're looking at expanding their careers or growing into aviation?
Definitely, go to school. Keep going to school. Down in Miami, we have a George T. Baker Aviation School. That's where I went. I got my A&P license there, and it pretty much what opened up a lot of opportunities for me to get into the shops and just evolve in the industry and be where I'm at right now.
That's really good. So how do you recruit people into your spare parts company?
We have a team that's been there for a long time, and they've been there for many years. But the challenge has been for the shop side of the business. Finding, there's a lot of shops in Miami, so there's a lot of competition for mechanics, and it's tough. It's tough getting good mechanics because they're limited. And so hopefully it inspires a new generation to kind of get into the field, because there's definitely lots of opportunities on the technical side. And I look back at the days when I was a mechanic, and that's probably some of the happiest days of my life. Because it's just you and your unit, and it's like, you don't have to worry about anything. It's just you want to make sure you do everything by the book, everything works, everything passes, and on to the next one.
That's good. Well, I hope all the young listeners out there, there's lots of ways to get in this business, and I can certainly say any technical training you can get, whether it's engineering training or it's a trade school, great ways for you to break into the business, and it's certainly the expertise you'll learn there and the work ethic in those environments you can bring to any company and be successful.
Definitely.
So that's fantastic. Well, Michael, thank you for joining us here on the Nose to Tail podcast. And to all you listeners out there, be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, Nose to Tail. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Presented by Jet Midwest.